Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I just wanted to give you guys my own personal lesbian book recommendations. I've spoken before about my lesbian book collections or lesbian book hauls, but I don't think I've ever done a video giving you guys my most favourite lesbian books and books I can personally recommend. I also see a lot of people online asking for lesbian book recommendations, so I just thought I'd make a video for a reference point. So a lot of these books are my personal favourites, and a lot of these books generally have a good reputation. Of course, a book is quite a subjective experience, so if you don't like my recommendations, I mean, I don't care, but also it's not my fault. It never is. Also, I'm going to be going through these books quite succinctly. I'm going to be quite to the point with these books. If you want more extensive reviews of these individual books, I have a whole playlist dedicated to lesbian book recommendations and reviews, so please check that out. Books are great in 2020 because none of us have a social life. I never had a social life anyway, but let's get on with it. So my first recommendation is The Monkey's Mask. This book is Australian lesbian murder mystery poetry, and it's pretty punchy and I quite like it. I think even if you don't really like poetry, you would probably still get on with this book. It's not anything like traditional poetry, and it's a very fun and easy read. It was also a pretty erotic film. It was. Then we have Zami, A New Spelling of My Name, a biomythography by Audre Lorde, who is a lesbian literature daddy. And this book is more or less an autobiography. It's about her life growing up in 1950s America as a black lesbian. Then we have a bit of a classic. It's The Price of Soul, which you know as age gap lesbians, Christmas, romance, gloves. We're all in love with Carol. Then we have The Paying Guests by Sarah Waters. This book is a lesbian lodger love affair with very dangerous consequences, and like a lot of Sarah Waters' work, it is historical fiction. And actually, whilst I'm on the subject of Sarah Waters, I can recommend almost all of her work. She is prolific for a reason, and my favourite books of hers are The Paying Guests and Affinity. Then we have The Priory of the Orange Tree. This is a fantasy book. It is like a very female-centric Game of Thrones, and the book involves a Sapphic love affair and dragons, two of my most favourite things in the world, and I think the book is just really good. Then we have Cracks, a very dark lesbian murder memoir from your school days in South Africa. This book was also made into a film, a lot of us know, with the gorgeous Eva Green. The book is very dark and awful, but it is a very good book. Then we have The Luminous Dead. This book is basically a cave horror with a sapphic romance. It's very good, it's very atmospheric, it's very good to read late at night. It will put you off going down a cave for life. Next is Olivia. This one is a bit of a vintage classic. It's from the mid-20th century. It was published by the Hogarth Press, and it is a lesbian teacher-student romance, so it is an age gap, but it's just very beautifully written and is a beautiful book, and it is one of my favorites. Then we have The Illusionist. This is another age gap romance. I'm not writing these books, but I do enjoy them, you know, in a respectful proper way. Anyway, The Illusionist is basically just a very dark version of The Price of Salt. I'm pretty sure The Illusionist and The Price of Salt were published in the mid-20th century, something about this time, and age gap romances in literature. There was a lot of hot middle-aged women around this time, apparently. Then we have Amy and Jaguar, which is a non-fiction book about a lesbian romance which took place in World War II. Of course, as a heads up, the book is obviously quite tragic. Then we have probably my most favourite, and that's Portrait of a Marriage, which is a book which contains Vita Sackville West's autobiography and more or less her tumultuous love affair with Violet Trefusis, and it is one of the most romantic things I have ever read, and therefore just is my most favourite. And along with that, we also have the letters from Violet Trefusis to Vita Sackville West, which kind of ties in with that book, and I would say these two books are my most treasured lesbian literature. I adore them. It's very high romance, but of course, because of the time period in which the romance took place, a lot of the letters were burned. So I think probably their most romantic and explicit stuff was definitely burned. And I know all of Vita's letters to Violet have almost all disappeared. So yeah, that is some of my most favorite lesbian literature. I don't want to be that person, but I'm gonna be that person. I also have my own lesbian novel called Birdcage out, and it's nearly sold out actually, but there are just a few copies left, and the book is basically vintage-esque lesbian love letters and heavy sighing. Yeah, I don't know if it's good. Can someone who's read it confirm if it's good in the comments, or give me a scathing review? I don't mind. It's good looking, unlike its creator. Well, I'm okay. Anyway, I'm leaving now, so okay guys, thanks for watching. If you have any of your own recommendations, please do leave them down in the comments, because it probably helps other people looking for recs, and even me. I'm always on the prowl for stuff. Okay, goodbye.